Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Clement and this is Travel and that's what's up. Alright guys, so today is another nice day and I'm out here getting my steps. I'm gonna go pick up some things from the grocery store. That's why I actually parked. I'm just going back there to not only get the groceries but to retrieve the car at the Jewel. But I'm walking through the neighborhood like usual, getting my steps, just checking things out, thinking like usual, you know, trying to wind down the days because we're closer now. And I'm quite, even though being here has not been the best as far as like, you know, atmosphere wise, I am pretty darn happy because I think about it. I'm like, man, I can do whatever I want to do. I can go wherever I want to go. And this has been a problem all my life, you know, me mostly being the only one that can do things, you know, and it's either because of money or time or circumstances, you know. I've always made sure I steer clear of nonsense and trouble because for the better half of my life, I've always experienced jealousy. And with that, you know, you start to build the framework, you know, without even knowing of what to look for in a person when it comes to personalities and behavior and all of those things, you know, and all of the things I've gone through in my life. So, you know, I had just been thinking about that walking. And I was also thinking, what makes a person do things to another person out of the blue? Like, if you've never done anything to a person, but when they meet you or when they are around you, their behavior becomes strange, you know, because I'm the type of person that if you're on some weird stuff, you got some crazy behavior, you're a bad person, I'm gonna know. I don't know how I'm gonna know, but something inside me tells me this is probably not a good idea. So, yeah. And, you know, your energy you give off. You ever notice when people disrespect you or do something to you and you call them out on it, they get an attitude. Think about that. They're the ones in the wrong, but when you call them out on it, they get an attitude. That is the craziest thing, but it happens. It's happened to me quite often, you know. And when you decide you're just not going to take it anymore, oh man, they really erupt. And I'm a kind person. You know, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You know, I might even give you a couple of chances. But when that happens, you're already on like you're being graded, kind of. So in the sense of, you know, giving somebody the opportunity or the benefit of the doubt, there's only so much rope you can give a person. So, you know, I'm that type of person. I'm a fair person, you know. I'm not really nice. I mean, I guess I'm kind of, but that's not what I like to be termed as. I'm a fair person. I'm a kind person, you know. And sometimes people mistake that stuff as naive or just, I don't know, lame. Whatever the case, you know, don't be fooled. You know, I'm the type of person that if I'm with you, I'm with you. But when you burn me, I'm not with you anymore. That's just the way it goes, you know. And I don't have any regrets about that. You know, when I don't really get mad either. I get disappointed. People disappoint me. You know, if you think about it, the people who disappoint you the most is most likely the ones that are closest to you. Because they feel like there's no repercussions. There's no, you know, it'll go back to normal. It'll be the same. Like it don't matter. The furthest thing from the truth. I'm quick to cut people off. Actually, that's not necessarily true. I'm not quick to cut people off. I do try to work things out. I'm a Libra. I don't like confrontation. you know, and I don't like being upset or at odds with anyone. That's just not in my nature. I like things fair and balanced because I'm a fair person. And it doesn't matter. Fair is fair. I had to learn that by, I got kids, so, I got two boys. One time I walked in the bedroom and they were fighting each other. And I didn't know who started what, but I wasn't gonna pick sides. They're both my kids. All right, guys, take a look at this. All right, guys, so my question is, what makes a person act in that manner? What goes on in a person's head? Can anybody answer that? Put it in the comments if you can. Also, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps grow my channel. I personally think it has something to do with the mind, how they think, maybe even how they grew up. But that behavior, questionable stuff. But anyway, if you guys wonder why I haven't been cooking, I had gotten sick, and I had been sick for a while. But I am out putting together a menu now, and I'll be making chicken shawarma. Actually, I've already made it a few times, just didn't come out the best, so I don't want to pass that recipe on to you guys. I'm out collecting ingredients again to try to perfect the recipe. I'll get back to cooking soon. So while I've been here, me and my kids are thinking about going over to Great America. I'm still kind of on the fence, but we might wind up doing it. It's actually better than going downtown these days. I actually want to go to Cedar Park. If you guys ever been to Cedar Park, it's pretty cool. But yeah, overall it's really chill. It's been really chill. Weather's been kind of agreeable, aside from the rain. But yeah, it is what it is. Just been like taking this time to reflect on people and atmosphere and behavior and all of those things. I think people get upset and jealous with me a lot of the times because I don't have to do what they do anymore. I don't have to report. I don't have to be anywhere. Don't have to do anything. And that pisses people off. I used to run the rat race till I got wise. And I said, you know what? Maybe I don't need a fancy car or a big home. Maybe I just need a beach and a shack and freedom. So that's what I opted for. Because what I found out over time is that all this material things, it's not really happiness. Your peace of mind is what really makes me happy anyway. I see a lot of people with this fake energy, wearing a mask. They got on a disguise. And that's not me. I'm not one of those people. So that's why. So if you see that, then, that's just the way it goes. I mean, some people can't be themselves. They have to live vicariously through others, because they have no imagination, no sense of being. They're just like walking around with no conscience, So I'm not one of those people. So over time, I think I've gotten used to being underestimated. It actually serves me well. People, they see you and they assume, which works in my favor. I don't really want anybody knowing anything about me, So if I appear a certain way, run with it. It's the best defense. People like to judge books by their cover. Great. Great. I love it. It's like when I first got on my first flight. Damn, I can't even speak right now. First class flight. Man, I wish I would have recorded that. Goodness, you should have seen the eyeballs. wasn't dressed funny. I mean, wasn't dressed like the other people. How you see me is pretty much how I was, you know? But when people assume, you know, it just works. Keep doing it, at least with me, because then that way I can move in silence, you know? So, and a lot of the times, people have no idea, you know? They haven't done any research. They don't know anything. They just assume a lot, and it works. You know, I believe in karma. That's why I don't seek revenge. I just let the universe work things out most of the time. You know, if it's not physical, I'm not going to step into it. I'm going to let the universe do what it do. Because, like I said, I'm a kind person. And I don't go out starting things. I don't look for trouble. I don't want it. I don't like using my time in that manner. You know? It's a waste of time for me. And people, you know, I think what happens is a lot of the time, people have this bad energy. And they want to put it somewhere. They want to place it on somebody. You know? I guess, you know, with me, I don't read into it, you know? I just stay out the way and try to move in silence and take care of my business. I don't deal with a lot of the distractions. It's just not my thing. All right, so I needed to get some water. So I stopped in the little store and I picked up these. I thought these were gonna be good. I hadn't had them in, man, when's the last time I had Doritos? I haven't had Doritos since 2022. It's 2025. They're not great. They're not good. I mean, they taste funny. I haven't eaten anything like this in a very long time. You know, after my divorce, I really didn't have an idea of what I was gonna do. But what had happened after that kind of surprised me. You know, my whole life changed. I bought a plane ticket to Thailand, and that ticket changed everything. It was like my eyes opened. I mean, I've always traveled. I've always gone all over the place. But when I got to Thailand, just like my son, when I took him to Thailand, his whole life changed. You see things differently for what they are, you know? You realize that this American dream is not the dream. It's not where it's at. Now, don't get me wrong. America's cool if you like racism. You know, you like high prices, you know, unfair treatment, bad food, people with bad attitudes. I guess you can find those people everywhere though. But it's especially heated here because people don't have enough. People don't have enough money. They don't have enough time to themselves. So that causes strain and worry on an individual. And that energy gets transferred over to people they encounter. And that's why you have that. I've said it before. I believe that American people are in a funk, like a rut. It's just the way it is. You know, when you come back from Southeast Asia and you come back to the States, it's a very different world. Because in Southeast Asia, the food is better, the people are better, the atmosphere, And there's not so much racism. You don't even experience racism, you know? It's so different. I mean, if you do experience it, you kind of know why. You know, you're the only person like that in most cases in that place. So you will experience that every now and then. But for the most part, if you're into all of that, segregation, racism, bigotry, and being a hypocrite, and I don't know, just there's a whole list of things. If you're into that, this is going to be the perfect place for you. You like to argue, you like to fight, you like to stir stuff up, this is the place for you. You know? It's just the way it is. When I was younger, this wasn't something I thought about. But now that I know, I can see, I'm older, I can tell. You know, I never had an idea what my parents was going through, but now I do. You know? But so like I said, if this is something you're into, you'll be a perfect fit.